I didn't hear your question. Your question couldn't be articulated. That's one thing. Did you guys feel that you might have had questions that were not? Well, you don't know what the questions were. So. Okay, should be few post-quiz synchronous discussion. So that's my plan. We'll talk about that a little bit about the class plan. So since we're doing live lectures, now if I had not done a live lecture, if I just given a lecture, or if you just cut off that portion, by the way, in YouTube, you can play, a lot of my students do this. They went and sent a link, and I can send the link again to you guys too, where you can just play it at double the speed. Okay, so audio is a very slow way of getting information. And we know that the screen is not changing too rapidly. So if you really want to be, if you're in a hurry, you can do that also. Okay, you have to schedule time to watch. And there may be long pauses. You may know the answers. You can fast forward. Cannot hear student answer. Cannot hear student question. And you can get a clue from what I'm saying. Anything important, I will say. Okay. And like I said, many students who did not attend class last time, but watched the videos, did just fine. Okay. So as long as we get some benefit here, maybe that drawback you can overcome. Okay. Here's the issue. Audio is not the fastest way to get information. That's why I'm hinting to you that, you can fast forward. And imagine if you have to watch the lecture before you come here, watch it maybe one more time before your assignment, and maybe watch it one more time before the exam. There's just not that number of hours. Okay? So by flipping the class, I might be adding 1 more hour or half an hour more for each lecture to your time. So what do we do about this? And this is what I really worried about all summer. So you don't have to watch the video, complete video. Right? I'm generating the video from PowerPoint slides. Okay, those slides I can convert to PDF. PDF is very fast to go through. Okay, so what you could do is simply go and look at the PDFs, and then only the portions you need some explanation on, you could go and find explanation. Okay, so a lot of my students, in fact, do go to the PDFs, and that's another media, another form of media to study. Okay, so. and you okay, and like I said, if you just go into slideshow mode, you will get the synchronized recordings. Okay, so you'll just see, based on how much you need to know about the lecture, what mode you will operate in. Okay. So can escape out into unsynchronized or no audio mode, and it'll play synchronized audio. Now, you know, a lot of you guys are on the move, and you don't know what to do with your time. So this is another thing you could do, that you could actually play this stuff on your mobile computer. Now, I'm not sure you can do that on your iPhone. Okay, iPhone always has older versions of Office, but on your Android, you can go, and if you use WPS Office, that will download the PowerPoint slides. You can put your headphones on, and it will just go and play the recording as well as change the screen at the rate at which it was done. Okay, so that's if you're on the go and you need to quickly brush up stuff. So let's see what choices we have. Okay, we have YouTube video. Okay, we have PDF of slides without audio. Okay. We have slides with unsynchronized audio, where you can just go from slide to slide, go to the icon there, press the play button, and rewind to or fast forward to the portions you want to hear, and you have slideshow with the recording. Okay. So in terms of reference material, anything else you might want? This is all still visual. There's no nice text. Like I said, there's no textbook. Okay. So, oh, sorry, before we go to that, here's an issue. This is something you can just go and see in your browser. No downloading required. Okay? This is something you can see in your browser, no downloading required. And people like that. Here you have to go and download to the screen. So why would you, again, let's get this right so that we understand, why might we go and watch, look at the download PowerPoint rather than, clearly the audio does, the PDF does not have audio. So, you know, if you want audio, you have either the YouTube video choice or the PowerPoint choice. Now, PowerPoint has to be downloaded. So why might you, again, want to download PowerPoint rather than just go to YouTube? So why is PowerPoint? Because, so you're saying that I should repeat what you said, because you know I should repeat it. It's easier to do PowerPoint at your own pace rather than in YouTube video. You can't. Why do you say that?
Well, with PowerPoint, you can just stay on the slide as long as you need to, or as long as you want to. You can go faster if you want to, or you can go slow if you need to, while the YouTube video would go at the same pace that you go.
So YouTube will go at the same space, whereas in PowerPoint, if you're not playing the PowerPoint, you can just stay on the slide as long as you want to. Even in YouTube, you can pause, by the way. And you should, you know. But what about something else? Yeah. You can, okay, if you go to download it, you can use it without the internet. You don't have to go and use up your data connection stuff. Okay, good, very good. Yeah.
You can interact with PowerPoint. Like, let's say there's a snippet of code that you want to see how it works, or you want to tweak it to see if what you're thinking is correct, you can copy and paste the code into Eclipse.
Beautiful. You know, I'm glad I asked these questions because I get answers I didn't think about. So you can actually go and copy and paste the code into somewhere else. You can interact with it. Very good. How about navigation? Navigation in YouTube is by time that you just, and navigation PowerPoint will be by slide. Okay, so you can just go and say, I know what is this, and which is kind of what you're saying, that you know you can go at your own pace, but I can just skip to any slide I want. So now become your app designers, please. This is a wonderful market, education. Lots of people want to do computer science. It'll be nice to develop some software that can combine maybe the benefits of both of these two things. So can you imagine a magic user interface that gives you the, lets you have your cake and eat it too? You can, what might that look like? So you want the benefit of YouTube, which is that you don't want to download PowerPoint. Yet you want the navigation facility of PowerPoint. So what might some, I told you I spent a year at Microsoft, and part of the reason is that I have a high school friend there, and we've been both looking at this problem together. So he has developed, created a new product, which is hot off the press, most of you don't know about it, Office Mix, which is exactly doing what I'm talking about. It's not Google that's doing it, it's Microsoft that's doing it. It's getting into education. And what you can do is, so here is the next section that you have to study is on scanning. And I've given you various ways in which you can look at the scanning stuff. And one of them is this Office Mix. And you can go and just like in YouTube, you can play the presentation. But you know, in YouTube didn't know I had PowerPoint presentation underneath. I just converted to video, and it just sees that as video. Whereas this tool knows that this stuff came from an Office PowerPoint. Okay? So you can play the video, and can you see in the interface some hints as to how you could do structured browsing? You see these markers? These are slide markers. You just go, click on one of them, you go to the right slide. Okay? And plus, you see this table of contents. You see all the slides on the web, no downloading required. And you just click on the slide, listen to the video, audio on that. You can't quite interact, I think. Okay, I'm not sure. Like I said, it's really new. Okay, and in fact, over the summer, he was going to do a lot of stuff, and that would be useful for our class. I've just not had time to even contact him. But this is an alternative. Okay, it's not as mature as YouTube. Who knows how it's going to work out? Like I said, it's hot off the press, but that's also a form that you'll be able to use. Okay. Questions? Okay. And now I will pose the question I posed earlier, that what else do you need, and does it solve the lack of textbook problem? Okay, and when it comes, I mean, I studied, everything through textbooks or classes. So all this stuff I'm helping create, I spend the first half of the summer typing frantically, okay, and converting all this stuff into Word documents, okay, and they're there. I have not had a chance to even proofread some of them, most of them, in fact. Okay, but the information is there. You can cut and paste easily, and there are lots of mistakes, and they're obvious. So I don't think that will cause any confusion. Okay. So when I said I was doing work frantically, it meant that I was in the metro. I was working on this. I was in a big gathering. I went to a corner, just worked on it. This shows I have no life. And so I was using my Android, okay? And I realized that these diagrams, which you see a lot of in my slides, are a real pain on that little thing, okay? Android is going to go and scale up the text. I mean, all mobile computers, I don't just mean Android. But the pictures are a real issue. So I just decided I'm going to take off all the pictures. If you want diagrams, you want animations, you go to the PowerPoint. Okay, you go to the video. You want succinct text, not written in most beautiful form because I was just typing, but at least it's text. You get it. Okay? So some of you may not even care to see the videos. Just look at this, you get the idea, and I personally, when I was a student, what I heard, I retained. I remembered exactly on that portion of the board, somebody wrote something, and that just was this visual clue. So I read textbooks, but I do like the audio-video channel. But, you know, again, the people come with different backgrounds. And before the exam, you don't have time to listen to the audio. Okay? And that is where you want to brush up and say, okay, I got the basic concepts. I saw the diagrams before. I get the overall picture. Let me just refresh my, you know, what I know here. Okay? And the text should be useful. Okay? So I've had Word documents before. They were very outdated. And I have finally, and students still went and used them. So I know the stuff is not bad. Okay? And what I've done is updated them to the current lecture and the current state, you know, so that should work. Okay, and then again, being a technology person, I'm saying how further I can take this idea. So this is PDF. Would it be benefit if you had the doc file also? If you had the doc file, if you had the original PowerPoint file, so the Word doc also? Anybody think you might be able to interact with it somehow? Well, what do I lose, right? I give you one more choice. Choices are bad, by the way, sometimes. You have to think about which choice to take. Okay? And what can you do there? You don't understand something. You think I'm wrong. Just put a comment there. This is publicly commentable by anybody on the internet. Okay? I don't know if any one of you will ever use that facility. I think some of you will actually, because some of the students have come to me and said, you know, this mistake, here's a mistake, here's a mistake, here's a mistake. And so we'll see. Okay? And we'll you know, let us become, you know, let us test our own technology that the computer scientists built. So yes, we have Google Docs also. Okay? So how many of you have used Git? Okay. It's not a big deal if you haven't used it. Okay? And I've put all the Java source code that I have on a Git repository, which for those of you who don't know what that is, just as you have Google Docs on the web, you have Mix on the web, you have software on the web. Okay? So you have to just do some magic commands in Eclipse, and that stuff just comes in to your Eclipse environment. Okay? And you can run the code and interact with it rather than just sort of passively looking at it on the PowerPoint slide. So you will not have to copy and paste the code from PowerPoint. You will have the whole thing there. Okay? And that's fine when you want to interact with it, but you have to download it and so forth. And in my course web page is big, okay? Navigating, you need sort of, you need some guidance on how to use it, okay? But on there is a little, so there's a zipped, so I have a zip directory of the code also. That's before I put it on Git. Actually, I don't know if I put a link to Git or not. Anybody investigated my page? Did you? No? I'll put it, okay? I have a zip directory you can copy, but I'll also put a link to the Git. And here's a Java to HTML, where it'll tell you all the packages. Packages are so you have a browsable project also, okay? So you can see I ran out of space in my slide. Sorry, I can't think of any more options. But I'll be very curious about your feedback on, how these forms are working out, okay? But the main point is, if I'm going to flip the class and have you do work outside class, I better make it as easy and productive for you as possible to do that work. That was my goal, okay? I'm not working in class, sweating away, giving a lecture, okay? So I might as well sweat before classes, okay? Every topic section has all these choices, okay? So the next topic that you guys who are having trouble or need help, even if you don't need help with the first assignment, I would recommend you go through this stuff for the concepts. So in your first assignment, you have to build a scanner. So the topic is scanning. Like somebody said, are your lectures going to be integrated with your assignment? That is the one thing I guarantee you, okay? You study something, you see it working. That's exactly the mode we are in here, okay? And because it's so project intensive, I want to spend time in class on the project rather than on the lectures. And this column corresponds to stuff generated from my lecture, okay? So you have the PowerPoint PPTX file. You're welcome to download it. It will be big, by the way. Huh? These things have got audio in them. Audio takes space, okay? So this takes a while. You got the PDF version, you got the version posted on YouTube, and you've got the version posted on Mix, okay? With Mix, you have to sign in with either your Facebook account. I think in YouTube, no, YouTube you don't have to sign in, right? Yeah, Mix wants you to sign in, okay? And you have to, either with Facebook or with Office or with some other Google, they give you 3 choices, yeah.
On Mix, I've seen that you can only use a Windows computer also.
It's on the web.
Okay, I found that.
You've seen Mix before?
I just looked it up when you brought it up.
Ah, okay, because it's, it's all word of mouth so far. No, it's on the web. The only thing is, if you're on your mobile computer, you have to play the video. They don't have browser support on the mobile computer, okay? But on a regular computer, it's all right, okay? There's a grad student who was taking a course from me, independent course from me last time, and I gave him the option of going to Mix and YouTube, and he went to YouTube. I don't know why, okay? And there may be some issues like that, okay? But it's a web interface. So please, Mac people, try this out. But one of the reasons why I've always found Macs to be a pain when it comes to teaching is that they're behind when it comes to the versions of Java, when it comes to the versions of Office, which is all what I use here. So you might be at a disadvantage in many ways if you've got a Mac. Okay? But there's always YouTube for that. In fact, yes, the real reason I went to YouTube was that the Mac people could not download PowerPoint and play it with audio. At least 2 years ago when I last taught this course, okay? So that is a reason. So that option of just downloading the PowerPoint and playing it was only available unless you put an extension of some kind to your browser, and many people didn't do that. So that's where the YouTube will work out. But I am using an Office product, so you might imagine that Office is not always current on Mac. Okay, so this is stuff generated from my PowerPoint. This is stuff generated from my frantic typing, okay? And you see the doc file I have. You're welcome to go and look at that directly, edit it, whatever. You've got the PDF, which is going to be much quicker to look at. And you've got the Drive version, where you can actually put a little comment in. And, in my idle cycles, I'll go look at that. But somebody else may put another comment there to understand the stuff. So rather than going to Piazza, which may be the better way to do, and say, on page 10, I didn't understand that text and reproducing that text, you could just go to the text itself and say, you know, what's going on here. Piazza has got a very nice interface to allow people to know what's going on. Anybody use the commenting feature in Google Docs? Do you get to know when somebody comments? But how do you subscribe to this stuff? Because I just said everybody can edit. So how do you even know if I've commented? If he comments, how do you know he did comment?
Well, I don't. Usually, I use it like English class before to just check.
Maybe you can go and subscribe. That's the interface, I think. That to a document you can subscribe to the comments. So just see. I mean, just.
I used it in chemistry before. They had to create, the teacher created like a group and invited people to that group.
Yes. Normally, that's what happens. I can create a group and invite you. I've invited the whole world. I just said anybody on the internet. I mean, they're commenting. What can they do? Anyway, I have a backup copy, right? So I think you should be able to go and say, I want notifications on this. Just Google for that at some point. I'll do it too for commenting, okay? But it's there, you know, like I said, if you build it, they will come. That's the approach I'm taking here, and we'll see what happens. So, you know, my research is in collaborative, distributed collaboration. In fact, we guys were doing Google Docs much before Google Docs goes around. So you can see that I get a little bit perhaps more excited about the technology than I should be, okay? But that's what we computer scientists are all about, you know. We want to invent. Whether it's useful or not, who knows? So, but hopefully this will be useful. And I think this educational space is sort of the big killer app now. Okay. Okay. Then what I've also done for some sections, I've also built an animation system to just animate algorithms. Okay. And I've not harnessed its complete capabilities so far. But for some things like scanning, I've built a little animation that you can watch to understand. I mean, in PowerPoint, yes, I can animate things, you know, by clicking and so forth, but this is really the algorithm being animated. So for some of these sections, you'll also see a visualization that you can, and you know, this is on YouTube. I get some idea of how many people are viewing these things, and apparently this particular visualization was very popular among my students. Okay, so you might want to, when you build your scanner, just look at this, you know, as a very succinct way of understanding what's going on in the algorithm. Okay. Then with each section, I normally have an assignment. For those of you who have not been able to find the assignment, you have to go down. You know, there's a lot of material there. But I thank the person who answered this question on Piazza, that you can just have to scroll down to the section, and then you'll find the assignment. Okay? And here is now not the whole code, but the part of the code on the web that is relevant to this particular section. Okay? And I think I've got an animation here. So if you click on this, it'll say, okay, he's talked about 4 different modules or classes, and you can click on any of them, and you see the code. So you don't just, in an undirected way, look at the whole source code. You just, for each section, you go and find the code relevant. And you may never go and look at any of the other stuff. You might just go and look at the scanning visualization, look at the code, and say, I get it. Okay? So, questions about navigating these links? Please do, you know, after, when I know you have you know, there's only so much time you have, but if we have some time, at some point we'll finish this lecture, hopefully before the class ends, just go and traverse these links to just see what they're about, and then you can make a choice as to which ones you want to use. Okay? So this whole thing about pacing yourself, I'm not paying lip service to it. Okay? I'm very serious about it. Okay? And the theory is that the pace at which you understand lectures in general and code in particular varies. You know, people say everybody learns differently. And yet we go to these popular lectures that everybody seems to like. So it's always this little thing that, you know, yes, is there one true way to teaching, or everybody learns differently? Who knows? I've heard 2 theories in that. But since I'm going to the flipped class mode, I have to go and say, this is the one that we are going to focus on. This is the one that probably is right. Okay? And what I've really done is have a variety of sources with different kinds of information and different amounts of information. And each of these sources, you can now browse at your own pace. Okay? That's how we get to pace ourselves. Okay? Okay. So, have we dealt with the scalability problems? We have a variety of pacing techniques. Hopefully that is a part of the solution. Okay. How do we prevent you from going to Facebook? Well, you do the work at home. Okay. I mean, how do I prevent you from not doing the work at home? We have a quiz every day to see that you actually looked at the material that you were supposed to look at. Okay. And never done this before. It's got to be multiple choice. I've never thought much about multiple choice questions, but they're better than nothing. Okay. And this is to just verify that you guys looked at the stuff. Okay. And how do you get help? Okay, that's the question. So I'll talk about the TA situation right now, and it's been more difficult than normal this time for me. And like I said, the class has thinned down, so I'm much more hopeful now. Okay, and we will help as much as possible. But there's always long lines. There's always been long lines. Now with inverted class, maybe there'll be fewer, lines will be smaller, and let's see how. We make, and I hinted at this last time, we make diversity a feature other than a bug. Okay, we just harness that. And we provide collaborative in-class exercises. Now, there was 3 of you who had been in flipped classes before. Can you guys raise your hands again? There was somebody in the back, one person there. Oh, you were in the back?
Yeah.
No, you come in front. Okay, you're confusing me. So, did you guys do collaborative exercises then?
Yeah.
Okay. And thank you. Yeah. I do need the other sheet also, by the way. Okay. How did you guys choose partners? How was it?
Some days he would just give us a little group, like pick 3 people near you. Sometimes it was just you two there.
Okay.
So it was a mix of like sort of assigning and choose your own.
How big a group do you think one can form? 3 people?
I think 3 people would be...
In this room, 3 people might work out? Do you guys want to just pick the 2 people next to you, or do you want some more directed? What do you guys think? Pick your own? But the trouble is you'll always pick the same people. Maybe. Will you promise to try to sit somewhere else? No, then you'll confuse me, right? But anyway, I'm not giving lectures anyway, so I can get confused. Try to sit somewhere else then. Okay, each time. You know, I mean, if this online thing all works out fine, why come to college? Right? That's the big deal. At least get to know each other. Even if you don't learn from each other, at least get to know each other. And you know, one of the problems I feel is that as an instructor, I'm involved very much in your lives for one semester. And what I do affects your life a lot. Yet I don't get to know you guys. You know, I really don't. I would love to, but how do I? I'm giving a lecture, you know, and I just can't. I mean, I try to remember faces and everything, but so this whole experience of classroom should have a social dimension to some degree. Okay? That's when you feel just better about everything. So, but let's talk about this. Let's say I pick 2 people. And in any 2 people, one person will know more than the other. Right? So the person that knows less is perhaps benefiting from the person who knows more. Is the person who's doing the teaching benefiting in any way? I mean, selfish way? I don't mean in feeling good about themselves and sleeping better at night.
Yeah, I know one of the best study techniques is to teach it to someone else.
You know, one of the best study techniques is to teach it to somebody else. Way back, they did a little experiment at Berkeley. There was a group of students who were just getting better grades than the rest of the class. And they tried to figure out what the reason was. And the first thing they thought was, oh, they just have higher IQ, average IQ. They put in more hours of work, average hours of work. And the real reason was that they were explaining things to each other. And when you explain to somebody, you understand that. Okay? So that's one philosophy. For every philosophy, there's a counter philosophy. You know, those who can't teach, and so hopefully that, you know, that's not the reason why I'm here, but I think that it's going to be beneficial. Okay. So, and these in-class exercises, I'm a little fuzzy about right now, but I've got the basic principle in mind, and I'll just share that with you soon. But hopefully they'll be, okay, and even perhaps homework debugging. Okay, so what I'm thinking, and I don't know how to make this work. So by the way, how many of you have finished the first assignment? 2 people. Okay. How many of you have started on the first assignment? More people. Okay. Now, you guys who've started and who've finished, would you be willing to, and this will happen, by the way, those guys who started the first assignment first, you're going to be the first ones to finish the second assignment, you're going to be, and so forth. Okay? Would you be willing to be, to sort of just hang around, and those who come to class and say, I'm having trouble, help them out? How many of you, I mean, I could put you on the spot. If you're willing to volunteer to do that, please let me know. Okay, you can post on Piazza, because that would be, there will be some in-class exercises where the 2 of you do work together. I also want to devote some part of the class to helping those having trouble with the homework. And we can provide help, but the TAs can't even, some of the TAs can't even attend this class. One of the lab assistant, one of the undergrad students cannot attend this class. So if you're going to make this work really well, I could use your help. Just as you guys in Piazza are just so helpful, okay? You could be helpful in this form also, okay? So about, 20% of the class is going to find my assignments, especially the first ones, very, very boring, okay? To put excitement in your life, help others out, okay? And let's see how it works. This is really going to be an experiment in many dimensions, social dimensions, technical dimensions, and so forth. Okay? And by the way, if this experiment is ever failing, I can always go back to what I've done before. Start lecturing. That's the easiest thing in the world for me to do. Okay? And let me know about that too. But I'm just hoping that if you're actively part of this, you guys can together do more than what I alone can do. I just feel that instinct. Okay? Okay. To what level can you help somebody? Okay, and what do you guys think? I mean, what's the principle? How much do you blurt out the answer? To what degree? Sorry? Well, I'm having trouble getting my scanner working. You've got your scanner working completely. What do you tell me? Here's my code. Okay. So that's by the way, to sort of do, when you join a company or become a professor, as a professor, of course, I have to be a little bit articulate. In a company, do you think it matters whether you're articulate or not? It matters a lot. What is a manager? Manager is a teacher. Believe it or not, when I was at Microsoft for a year, I was helping people in Office and Windows and operating systems talk to each other through me. Okay? Just because I talk a lot, right? And so this skill, I mean, some of the students who will get things working immediately also are a little bit introvertish. Okay? And it'll really help, I think, your personalities if you can learn, be a little articulate. So you don't give the code out. As long as you don't give the code, you can say anything you want. Okay? And ideally lead them on, right? Because you can discuss solutions with each other at a high level. What does high level mean? Not code. Okay? That's an honor code violation. Okay? It should not be the case that my grading programs or my TAs say that this piece of code came from this piece of code. And that's easy to tell. Okay? And that does happen every now and then, unfortunately. And it happens when 2 students are desperate and one is a friend of the other and they just give their code to each other. The other person says, yeah, I know this is important. And they're just doing it out of friendliness, out of compassion, but misguided, right? So that is wrong. But otherwise, just don't give the code, discuss the solution, try to help them out, and you will become a better manager in future. Not only will you learn that stuff, but it'll just improve you. So that's what I feel. Did you have a question?
Can you, if your code isn't working, say, post a snippet where you think it's wrong, or is that still?
No, don't post your code, please. And please don't go and say, here's my code, it doesn't work. It happens. Okay, just go and say, look, I tried this. This is the problem I got. This is the error I got. Please post the error messages for sure. Okay? And if you go and put a little, very small snippet, okay, where you've really done some research and figured out there's a mapping between this piece of code and this, sure. Okay? But be very careful not to post your whole program. Okay? It used to be the case before Piazza that we would all have a common mailing list. And students would go, and there was Help 401 and there was Comp 401. And students would go and accidentally post their whole project to Comp 401 saying, hey, TAs, my project doesn't work, tell me what's wrong, and then the whole class has it. Okay, now, probably the class didn't want that piece of code, but still, it's bad. Okay? Okay. And you can look at somebody else's code. If I'm having trouble debugging, you can look at my code. You don't have a photographic memory that you're going to remember what I have there. And you're the one helping. So you're not going to bother to memorize my code. I'm the one struggling. Okay? So debugging is a big deal. And please, feel free to help each other. Okay? And, the whole idea is that, and I've experimented with this, that, a lot of universities say, no, let them figure this out, the algorithm out themselves too. They're not learning enough if they get the algorithm and they just have to code it. And I've tried this recently with undergrad students, with grad students, and I feel the more I help you at a high level, the further I take you. Even the best students. Okay, because I have so much extra credit, they will ultimately have a good learning experience. Okay? So I'm all for this kind of learning. Okay, questions? Okay, we're technology people. Yes, you can learn from another human being. But today is a world of self-driving cars, right? Can I automate the help to you also? I told you I spent the first half of the summer doing your chapters. I didn't finish them all because I got diverted next summer, half doing something that was even more exciting. So what kind of automatic help can you imagine? It's a lot you can imagine, I suppose, right?
Something that goes into a little bit more detail on error messages.
Something that goes into more detail on error messages. Fortunately, if these error messages come from standard tools, just Google, please. Okay? And there will be those things. But how about messages? Error messages or messages saying, you're not on the right track. Oh, you are on the right track. How about that? You guys who did assignment 1, could you have used some little help saying you're on the right track or not the right track? Like what? Specifically.
Well, I thought about 2 different ways of doing it, but I ended up using arrays.
Okay.
And it would have been nice to know, because at one point in my program I couldn't get the arrays to work, so the guy, this is the way to do it. So I erased everything and started over with another way of approaching the problem. And then I realized, wait, I thought of a way to fix my problem with the array. So I erased it all and redid it again. And it would have been nice to know beforehand, should I approach it this way or this way?
Okay. So it'll be nice if somebody could really help you automatically, ideally, in the solution. Now, let me tell you, in computer science, you get to learn a lot about what you can do. You also get to learn a lot about what you cannot do. Okay? So there are limits to what a program can really do. This little robot that I want to build, it's not us, thankfully. Okay? We are better. Okay? Just limits to what it can do. So let me pose a little problem to you. You wanted this kind of help. Supposing you just wanted to know one thing. If I run my program, will it ever halt? Will it ever stop running, given any input? That means, am I guaranteed that for every input, the program will eventually halt? That seems like an easier problem, right? It's not telling you use arrays versus that. It's a general problem called the halting problem, that can you write a program that will take as input any other program and tell if that other program will eventually halt on every input. Or even on a particular input, actually. That's hard enough. And when you study theory, you will realize that the answer is no. Okay? And because the answer is no, you cannot take two programs and say whether they compute the same value. Same reasons. You cannot go and take a program and say whether it's a virus or not. People fool themselves into believing that they can really do virus checking, because you can't even tell whether it halts or not. Virus is a big deal. Okay? So there are real limits to what you can do here, and that has stopped people from doing work in this area. But the fact is that you can't do it in general, but maybe for my assignment 1, I can do something for you, because I know it's assignment 1. Okay? And so I built a little language that I could express certain requirements for each assignment and could provide some kind of help. Okay? That, unfortunately, I couldn't have provided. Okay? But anybody else was a little confused about the requirements? Or that, okay, do I have to do this versus that? Like maybe they were clear enough. What were the requirements, style requirements of the assignment for those of you who've done it? It had to work, plus readable, but who knows what that means. Nobody else remember style requirements? You guys who? There you go. Implement 2 methods. And should those methods, it shouldn't be just 2 random methods, right? At least a method should call another method. Maybe it can tell you that, hey, you got the solution working, but where are your 2 methods? It can do that. If I get into the compiler, which I did, I can know whether you wrote 2 methods. I can even know whether your method 1 calls method 2 or method 2 calls method 1. Okay? And if you don't, I can give you a little message saying, where are the 2 methods? Okay? So to that extent, I can do things. So I give this document, this requirement. You see it was many words. And you just miss out on the 2 methods thing, and you've lost 20 points. Okay? I don't know how many points. I'm just taking that number from a hat. Okay? So it'll warn against style requirements not met. Okay? And I went through every assignment I had and tried to see whether I could capture that in a program. And I really sweated on this one. Okay? But indicate potential sources of error. Okay, so now I'm going to give you error messages that my tool gave. That is a brand new tool that may not even work properly, and you can't Google for those messages. Okay, so you have to go. That's why I'm here. That's why we have a flipped class. I was ambitious about doing this because I knew I was here. You don't have to go and worry at late night at home, figuring out what this message was. Okay, and this kind of tool is very different. So I just, I'm very excited about it. And since it's new, I'm scared. It says, I put this requirement for every class, that every class should have at least 2 methods where one method calls the other method, okay? And it tells you, hey, min called methods, that you don't have enough. There's min called methods, min declared methods, that, hey, you've got 2 methods, and that's good. And min called methods means how many of these methods are called in the class, okay? And I will require you to have a package declaration, and it says, sorry, you're missing a package declaration. Okay? Later, you will go and, okay, naming. So there are some naming rules, and I can go and tell you what those rules are, and then take out 20 points if you don't follow the rules. And following rules is so stupid anyway, right? There's no intellectual exercise, but my TAs do that because it makes things confusing, and you have to make sure that rules are followed. Well, my tool will tell you rules are not followed. You ignore the message, you deserve 20 points to be taken off. Okay? So, again, it's not 20 points, but just, 5 points, 3 points, whatever. So, the challenge for me is now to go for each assignment and build the rules in. I have this tool working for the first assignment. I'm not advertising it right now. I told you I'm getting into the compiler, basically. And, if I frantically typed for the Word documents, I frantically typed here too. Okay, I think I've debugged it, but it's not sure. And if this has a bug, you won't be able to compile your programs, okay, which is a big deal. And for those of you who are just getting into Eclipse and just don't know whether it's the Eclipse at fault or me at fault, I don't want to present this to you immediately. But once you have your program working, please go and download this tool and just check whether everything is fine. And if something goes wrong, kill it. I'll tell you how to kill it. In fact, my PowerPoint slides tell you how to kill it. You have to put a little file in an Eclipse directory. Okay? That file you remove, I'm gone. You put the file in, and my tool is there. If your tool is if your Eclipse is hanging, just go to the operating system, kill the process, remove that file, and start the process again. Okay? I have gone and taken the project from last time. I've taken all my lecture material. I've passed them to all my tests. So far, no problems. But it doesn't mean you won't write something that will confuse my code. Okay? So, you know, this size of code, people would have an army of people at Microsoft working for a year. And I did it in 1.5 months. So the reason they have an army is because they have very strong testing. You might think that Microsoft code, you know, crashes a lot and so forth because it's doing a lot. So there's a good chance it will crash, but, you know, I'm here, right here. And I'll take into account that. And don't bang your head against code that problems that are not yours. Okay? This is an optional thing. You don't need it to do your project, but I think this will be good. And again, I'm looking for feedback as to how well it will work. Okay? So this will tell you your style requirements work or not. Anything else you might want feedback on? What's the opposite of style?
Does it work?
Does it work? And you might think it works, but you want to know whether we'll think it works or not. Which means you might want what? To be graded. And if we graded using our human idiosyncrasies, who knows? But last time, when I taught this course 2 years ago, I worked on an automatic grader. Okay? And that grader was used by the TAs to grade. Students could not use it. Okay? I mean, just got, you know, that's just a more complicated situation. But you got pretty concise reports, and students loved it. Okay? I mean, they just got such. You might think that, oh, we humans are superior to computers, which is what I hinted at when I said we can do the halting problem. Computers cannot. But when it comes to looking at details, you know, and giving reports, previously my TAs would go and say 10 points off for partial credit. Okay? They just had this little box in Sakai they would fill. Now you got detailed reports. Okay? And an undergrad student I've been working with, a guy from my class last time, 2 years ago, Andrew Wittkus, he's been working on something that allows you to, from Eclipse, run the grade. Okay? I'm not 100% sure it'll be all ready. He's also going to be a lab assistant here, and he's got a full schedule. But at least, and what it will do is, the style requirement will just say, hey, you don't have 2 methods. It won't tell you how many points you lose. Okay? That's a grading issue. This will take your style problems, it will take your correctness problems, and then give you the current grade. Okay? So often people post a rubric saying, here's what you will lose for each feature. We will do that too, but we'll just give you the code, and if this works, okay, this is the one I'm most tentative about, because I'm dependent on somebody else for doing it, who's a full-time student right now. Okay? And we've got it working more or less, but he's still got this bug that we can't figure out why the server can't run the style checker properly. So who knows what's going to happen? I don't guarantee it, but we'll see. Okay? We'll keep. So this is Andrew. He's just doing it on his own stuff. You will enter your course number. You will enter which assignment it is. Okay? This is assignment 10 from last time. You'll enter your onion and your password. Okay? And it'll then grade it for you and give you a little, thing saying, okay, by the way, not everything is auto-graded. Okay? Only some things that can be auto-graded will be auto-graded. The things that are graded by the instructor, that feedback you won't get. Okay? But, last time I didn't have any style checkers, so there was more work being done by the TAs, or at least theoretically being done by the TAs. Now with the style checker, maybe more stuff will be auto-graded. It'll tell you, okay, this requirement, this requirement, this requirement. So somebody asked me, what if you get the regular cases right, but the border case, the other cases wrong? We don't just go and say it works or doesn't work. We break up the project into multiple requirements, okay? And each requirement is worth a certain number of points. And you'll get to say, okay, I get these many points, these many points, these many points, and you know what? time to do the philosophy homework. I've got enough points. And, or, God, I'm going to work 2 more hours and really get everything right. Okay? Now, auto-grading is not entirely a new idea. The way I'm doing it in a way is different. And I've been to conferences where people have ideas on whether students should go and auto-grade their assignment or not. And how many of you think it's a bad idea for you guys to auto-grade your assignment? Nobody thinks. How many of you think it's a bad idea to auto-grade your assignment more than once? Or more than, or I should put a limit on the number of times you auto-grade your assignment.
For the sake of our sanity.
Sorry?
For the sake of our sanity.
For the sake of your sanity, what about the sake of learning? Oh, you know, there is not a single guy in that 1,000-people conference who believed what you guys believe. I just looked at them and said, you know, you're from Mars, I'm from another planet. Their argument is very simple. What could the argument be to not have things auto-graded an arbitrary number of times? And I really, since I'm in the minority, I was obviously insecure about it, yeah.
160, there's a lot of things that you could like trick the autograder to not, like if it was expecting you to assign a certain variable, you could just literally write an assignment statement rather than actually going through the iterations and figuring it out.
Beautiful answer, okay? That you could trick the autograder perhaps by just getting the right output for those cases. But I could, you know, the answer to that is very simple. Just give different input for the actual grading.
Yeah, that's very right.
Yeah. So this is just, this is not your real grade, huh? This is just a hint as to what your grade might be. Because we will have a proper grading afterwards. But you're on the right track. And again, the sanity track. Why is it that you're trying to grade yourself so many times? Maybe you haven't thought of the problem properly. And these guys believe that you should be writing your own test cases. And if you are relying on our test cases to that degree that you have to grade it so many times, you haven't done enough thinking. So you're in trouble. That's the argument. Have I converted anybody? Can you, yeah.
You're saying we should use like the autograder almost to debug as we're working through the problems?
Yes, you're asking me, should you be using it for debugging? Maybe. Okay, if you're using it for debugging, I mean, what does debugging mean? Debugging means that you know what the output should be, and you're not getting it. So the grader might tell you what the output should be, okay? But after that, debugging is your problem. It's not telling you how to get the output. So it's not really helping you debug, it's helping you figure out how far you have gotten. And can you guys, what do you think about this argument that you don't even know what to get? I mean, there's a problem with that, and we should try to discourage it. No? Nobody's convinced? If you're not convinced, fine. You can grade as many times as you want to. Okay? I don't see a disadvantage. You know, you might lose your sanity, but that's, you know, it's good for me. You're learning my stuff better. Here's the deal. You guys are, you guys are second programming course. I mean, you don't know how to write test cases. Test cases is software engineering course 3 semesters down the line. Okay? It's enough for you to just write the programs, and it's all right if we give you some of the test cases. That's my philosophy, that you're too young to be focusing on that stuff right now. And I would much rather you learn how to program and get my test cases right, which is more efficient use of your time, than to figure out all the test cases, which you're not learning programming. This is the only course, by the way, I'm so serious about this course, because this is the only required course where you'll write substantial code. After this, every course will required course will require less code. This is the peak of your programming experience, okay? And I'd rather have you spend the time programming. You can think about and reflect about all this stuff in future courses, okay? It's very hard to teach a course with intense programming, and that's why there's very few of us who do it. And so I'm going to focus on that, and we'll see. Okay, let me know at some point, after you finished your course, saying, you know what, maybe that was bad for me, that I could grade myself an arbitrary number of times. Both automatic grader and style checkers are extensions to Eclipse. At this point, you might say, you know what, I'll still use IntelliCheck. Okay, that's fine, but I would discourage it. Okay, as long as these things work. Okay, and I think they will. I may also give you exercises in class based on Eclipse, just to make sure that you debug and you know how to put breakpoints, which a lot of students don't know how to do. Even grad students sometimes don't know how to debug. Okay, so it's easier for me to make sure that you've done that if you all use the same programming environment. Okay. Again, there's Piazza for discussion outside class. So you guys have now an idea of what you have a pretty good idea of what we will do, what facilities you have outside class. You have some idea of what we're going to do in class? Yeah.
I have a question. So you said we're going to be doing quizzes in classes and whatnot.
Sorry.
Sorry. Is there going to be a schedule for what we're going to be covering in class and what we can be prepared for day to day?
Okay. So that's what I'm going to answer right here. Okay. So what do you remember about what we're going to do in class? We're going to have a quiz, right? For every class, I'll tell you what material you're going to be quizzed on at the start of the class. Okay? So that's part of the schedule. I will give you enough warning. Okay? I will let you know what happens on Tuesday. The quiz is in class. It'll be on Sakai. No, it'll be in every class there will be. Okay, recitation is another issue. Okay? Recitation is to help you sort of do your homework, basically. But in class, we will start the class with a quiz on the concepts required for the next assignment. So for instance, there is a scanning assignment. 3 of you have done it. 4 of you have tried it. The rest of you are just entering UNC right now. But you might need some theory. Okay, I'll make sure you read those notes and get that section by having a little quiz on the scanner on Tuesday. Okay, there was a hand up. Yeah.
You were talking to us about how you're doing a flipped classroom so that they necessarily didn't have to show up.
No, you have to show up.
Okay, so it's not going to be able to
Do you guys know the whole basketball scandal? What do you think happened there? You don't want to be in that same category right now.
I was making sure, so you wouldn't be able to log into Sakai at home.
No, I want you to come and interact with your fellow student and be a real human being.
If the quiz is on Sakai, then those of us who aren't enrolled in the class can't access it.
Okay, we'll figure that out, Okay. Now, guys, I have 2 more minutes. I really need to tell you about this and think about this. Now, these will be stupid ABCD choice questions. Okay? They're stupid because, you can always guess. The answer is always C, as you know. So what we'll do next is discuss those answers. Okay? And I might ask a volunteer saying, why is it C and not B? Or I might just say, you tell me. You took the quiz, you must have had a reason. And again, please, there is no such thing as a stupid answer. I'm trying to say that this is a cooperative environment. Okay? Now, I don't know whether the exam will be closed or open book. I haven't written the question so far. I have never written a multiple choice question, in fact, in my life. So this may seem sort of, I may make a total fool of myself. Then I want to let you guys do collaboratively some exercise. Okay? And the idea is that the next section is going to cover some material, right? I'm going to give you an exercise, and this is all in theory right now. I have no idea how this translates to practice, but I think I can. I will give you a problem that you, in an unstructured way, you just go and explore the concepts on your own with your fellow student. And say, what if you change this statement to this statement? What happens? What happens? Please note it down on Sakai so that at least I know you went through that exercise. And then write down a little discussion saying, what do you think is really happening underneath? Okay, just in free form. Okay? And now when you watch the section later, you will say, aha, that is what was happening. Okay? So that's my goal. And the last part, and again, I will need volunteers here. You get help with your homework. Those of you who don't want to help, don't need help, are free to leave at that point. Okay? And okay, I guess you guys are ready to go. So we'll start from here next time.
So, quizzes, they fall under in-class work?
Yes.